your unique life path is kind of etched in. You came in to do something here. I think we all, as adults, doing the adulting thing and being so serious and knowing so much, do our darndest to avoid looking at what would be the most fun path for ourselves that we already signed up for. So they help you get back on that path, help you rediscover your truths that were always there, help you maybe open up to your abilities, just listening better, paying attention to your senses or your heart, loving more, allowing more. And I'd say the name of the game in the big picture is showing love always. Good luck with that. If you've got bills, your cousin, a divorce, you just got laid off, it's very hard to be in the heart, but this is what it's about. How do you get from the head back to the heart like you had it as a kid?
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Ask Julie Ryan Show. It's where we blend spirituality and practicality to help you live a life of purpose and joy. We have Michael André Ford on the show with us today. Michael's a former corporate public relations executive who now channels angels and other spirits. I'm going to be asking Michael about his journey from the New York City world of big business to working with spirits and how both influence people's lives. Please remember to subscribe, leave a comment, and share this episode with your family and friends. Now let's go chat with Michael. Michael, welcome to the show. I'm so delighted to have you.
Julie, great to see you again. Thanks for having me on.
You bet. I've been on your show. I forget how many times. And I said, you got to be on my show because we always have so much fun because you're always do your sage trick. I can always smell it when you do it and then see if anybody else can smell it. So he's got a seashell with sage in it. And he's got a spiritual lighter. Looks like it's made by that spiritual guru Bick.
Exactly. Hey, anybody can catch sage. Doesn't matter where you are and how many years into the future you're watching this. It's no tri-iota. Just be in your heart. But if you want to ask the universe for help to get you out of the head into the heart like you're playing tennis, whichever way you roll, just ask the universe to make it good. Own it with a thank you. Om Sai Ram if you're from India. But you can catch sage through 2 screens, no big shakes. I've done this as a guest on like 75 shows. And then all my other guests on my show get to do it. So it's like 200 and something guests now.
Yeah. So I can always smell it through the screen.
People who are wildly intuitive or just game are having a really good day. They won the lottery 3 hours ago. Just ask for sage, but get sage, flowers. And if you close your eyes, see the beach, smell the beach, get Maui, Hawaii. Why not?
Yeah.
And you could play this over. But if you have to get extra help, breathe through the mouth, put a hand on the heart. Breathing through the mouth is a way to drop into your body and allow your body to do this smelling without smelling, the Zen thing. So that's all this is.
Thank you for doing that. Appreciate it. Where'd you get the feather? What's the deal on the feather? Is it something special?
It is. I wasn't a trail runner when I lived on the East Coast for the first 40-something years. But when I moved to Austin, Texas, I started running on trails. And there are these 3 Native American chiefs since 1970 when I was 2. My dad passed away in the Navy, fighter pilot F-4 Phantom off of Naples, Italy. No body recovered. It was his time to go. He had just turned 25, 26. These 3 Native American chiefs have been with me since I was little. I only met them when I moved to Austin, essentially, but they each were leaving me a feather on the trail. And so 2 normal-sized feathers, one from Geronimo, one from Red Shirt, a Lakota Sioux chief. And then I waited 2 years to get a little one from Dull Knife. And when I got the little one, I complained. I was like, why is it so small? I don't get it. I waited 2 years for the littlest feather. I forgot my own history. It wasn't Cub Scouts or Boy Scouts. It was like Webelos or something in Washington, D.C. in the 70s. I had to pick an Indian name for myself. It was Little Feather. And it was a pun on that. Yeah, and I struggled and agonized over that. Even that decision in the 70s, I took like weeks. Everyone else was like picking their names.
I love it.
Yeah, there was humor involved, and I found it smack in the middle of the trail and kind of heard, hey, it's for you. So ceremonial with meaning.
I love it. Little Feather. I needed to know that about you. That may come up later. You never know. You channel lots of angels and other spirits, but in particular, what exactly is an angel and do they play a role in our lives?
Yes. I would just say, hey, you're good out there. There's a lot going on in the world right now, and probably a lot more in 2025. The universe is way bigger than we think it is. And so that's simply because it ain't about thinking. But yes, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of angels. People can meet their own guardian angel. Sometimes your relative can become an angel. Unconditional love, beings of light, here to help. And in a practical term, you can get any answers, any questions, all languages, all dialects spoken. I don't see people's questions or answers. It's direct. You can see, but there are other kind of classifications of cool beings, like light beings. They're like whales if angels are like dolphins. And there's guides, Native American chiefs, figures from India, Einstein, Debbie Ford, Anthony Bourdain, Elvis, you name it. So there's a lot of different folks to meet. I think it's more like a New Year's resolution for a lot of folks. We all say our New Year's resolution. How much are we allowing for daily is the rub? Are we up here? Or are we here? If we can get to here, the whole universe is ready to waltz with us and deliver the goods. So
So for those of us that are listening, he pointed, you can be up here. He was holding on to his head, and down here is his heart. Because we have a lot of people that listen to this and don't get the opportunity to watch it. So yeah,
let's
go
drive
ahead.
some viewership. So if you're listening, you should go back and watch this. I'll put up some photos of angels. I grabbed a camera like a nervous college kid when this started happening 13 years ago in a Sure Shot and started snapping photos of angels. And so for people who aren't watching, there's a pink ball of light named Joy, very first angel I help people meet. A silhouette of an angel, my guardian angel, but 80,000 other people's guardian angel. Might be Mother Hawaii, light waves of energy and water, soft-spoken professor. But on my show, I had a Dr. Karen White on the show, and she recognized her right away, her guardian angel. And there's folks who get to meet their angels in human form, the whole way human. Pinch them, they don't say ouch. They pinch you, you say ouch. You can sit and have a chat, full on human form. So that is the biggest extrapolation of everything here. That's a lot to accept.
So what do angels do for us? How do they help us?
What are you willing to allow for? What's written? Your unique life path is kind of etched in. You came in to do something here. I think we all, as adults, doing the adulting thing and being so serious and knowing so much, do our darndest to avoid looking at what would be the most fun path for ourselves that we already signed up for. So they help you get back on that path, help you rediscover your truths that were always there, help you maybe open up to your abilities, just listening better, paying attention to your senses or your heart, loving more, allowing more. And I'd say the name of the game in the big picture is showing love always. Good luck with that. If you've got bills, your cousin, a divorce, you just got laid off. It's very hard to be in the heart, but this is what it's about. How do you get from the head back to the heart like you had it as a kid?
How do you do that?
Let go, breathe, relax, smile. There's about 1 million ways to get to your heart. I'd say there's 40 million ways: reason, logos, rationale, intellect, ego. Most of it's fear-based, or it's the type of knowing today that mankind uses that precludes possibility. So all that stuff is up here, and I'm pointing to my head. But a second you let go, take a breath, and relax, it's the equivalent of being on vacation, playing a video game, taking a shower, all the little things in life that you don't think twice about. Hugging a dog. Now, let's do mowing the lawn or hugging a dog. You're like, oh my God, I love my dog. You walk right by because you got something to do for work. Or you're thinking about mowing the lawn. 3 weeks could go by. You never actually gave your dog a hug or took him for a walk. Are you able to go full stop, drop into your heart, and be in the moment, be in the now? And the more you do that, the more you hit your heart button, the more you relax and start to ease into the bigger you that Tony Robbins wants to bring you into, that Joe Dispenza wants to get you there. Everything is kind of within. All your answers, all your skills, all the fun, and all the fun moments happen when you're in your heart. If you're on your last breath getting a little life review, I don't think you're going to see too many moments that you were shown being up in your head. All the action, the fun stuff happens when you're down here. I'm touching my chest.
Good point. How many times do we not hug our dog? Great example, because we're busy or we're whatever. I always am hugging my husband and giving him a kiss in the morning before my day gets busy. And I always think at the end of the day, if he wasn't there, would I have been glad that I did whatever I needed to do that was busy, or would I have been glad that I gave him a hug? So, really good point. I think real basic, but something that most of us miss because we're so busy. I have a girlfriend who's a psychologist who says that's called ADS, always doing something. And it is just a matter of slowing down, which is hard to do at certain times of the year. We're taping this when it's Christmas time, before Christmas, and it's busy, especially for women. We're doing the meals, and we're doing the presents, and we're wrapping the gifts, and we're putting up the decorations, and we've got lots going on, and and it can really be exhausting. And so I do my best to remember, okay, slow down, enjoy the moment, enjoy the beautiful decorations, enjoy, whatever the time is that I have with loved ones. So, good point. You say that Archangel Michael connects us to ourselves and to the universe without a barrier. Can you define that and define for us, what does universe mean to you?
Ooh, and that was probably me and not Archangel Michael. That's what I do for folks. I help people connect to all there is, your heart, the universe, without any barriers. So it's stepping beyond thinking what you know. You could be the 40-year intuitive expert out of India, a guru. You could be a hands on healer. You might have never heard of spirituality or energy or light or the universe and still want your answers and get any sort of help that you can get from the universe. So I help a person step out of what they know up in their head to get into their heart and to connect to all there is. So it means you get to see the light on my hands, on your hands. You get to see light on everything around you. You can see, if you had a loving couple, you can see the light flowing between them. And angels will even make butterflies off that light if you're really relaxed about it. So you get to catch smells through two screens. You get to see light. You can, again, ask questions, get answers, and there's no limits on that. So it's all languages, all dialects spoken. And you hear, I think, more importantly than all the languages, all dialect stuff. And 49 pages is the record. Like Australians, for some reason, are amazing at just doing their own listening. They're fearless. I think what's more important to note about that is the universe, angels, other loving figures just know how to say everything the right way so you don't react. They know how to navigate your personal value system and deliver the message the right way so you're pretty enthused. So no limits for asking a question. I think the big part is just getting to the full stop, stillness, being in your heart to pay attention. Actually placing your focus, like your psychologist friend said. We're all moving so fast. There's that famous India quote: a mind that is fast is sick, a mind that is slow is sound, a mind that is still is divine. And so you just have to go full stop long enough to forget who you are, what your situation is, to actually want to do real listening. You can't be thinking about your laundry. You can't be thinking about the credit card payment due next week. You have to actually be able to listen, and that's it. So little voice within. Echo Bodine describes it. She's been a guest on my show. The point of this is you just start to listen and you have to trust more. You have to trust that you're not alone. You can get any help. And then I think the door opens to the whole universe. You learn that you have kind of Jedi-like skills. It may just be hugs for a little while. You ask for an energy bump. Everything's energy. I can put my hand up and you can feel it if you want. Now, folks who are only listening, they could still feel it. You have to, it's like Piglet with Winnie the Pooh. Piglet asks, how do you spell love? And Winnie the Pooh answers, you don't spell it, you feel it. So why don't we do a little love if we can? Take 10 seconds. But I'll put my hand up. I'm in Texas. You're not too far away. We're in the same time zone at least. And let me know when you're feeling it. Then I'm going to whoosh you light with the other hand like a ping pong paddle. But right now we're just saying hi. And at home, if you want to feel sparkle, warmth, whatever, ask the angels to make it really nice. I'm going to whoosh you 2 times. Here comes the first one, and my microphone's up top. If I blow a little, catch a little Hawaiian in the air. Here we go. Okay, one more time, but turn up the volume, and of course, you're going to get another quick joke. What's the only flower found on the human face? Tulips. If you're laughing, you're letting go. Here we go. You get a little more that time?
That was a warm breeze.
I didn't do it. Blame angels. Don't blame Canada.
Yeah, I got a warm breeze on that. Okay, so what is the universe?
Ask an angel. Ask your passed over uncle after you've met an angel. Ask Einstein, ask Plato. You can meet all those folks. Ask a Native American chief, white buffalo calf woman. The point is, I try not to tell anybody anything. I just tell them, hey, breathe. And I have to say breathe once a minute, basically, to everybody because we all want to shut tight like an oyster again. I try to help everybody go from shut tight like an oyster to the world is your oyster. From here, pointing at the brain, down to the heart. You got a big heart. Everyone's got a big heart. And people can do this collectively, in a group, jointly. I'm off the hook. Photos of angels, a few videos of balls of light flying by. And then if you can do it as a group and jointly see Jesus, Mary, Muhammad, 3 angels, and a Pleiadian, or Plato, whoever, I mean, short of me levitating, what else is left?
Well, to me, the universe, when I asked you what is the universe, what I heard in my head was all that is.
Yeah, all that is. There we go.
Yeah. So I answered my own question. All right. You also channel entities like Mother Mary, Buddha, Plato, you've mentioned, Jesus, and others. Do you specifically call on these beings or do they just show up?
Boy, that's a
Or both?
yes, both. And it depends. Sometimes I resist them for a couple years because I'm like, whoa, that's a big figure. Buddha, I was a little worried. I'm walking through a Target and I wasn't ready to actually see Buddha as kind of half like a golden apparition. He's one of the very few figures that you don't get a full defined figure. Seth from the 1970s is the other one. Remember the light being Jane Rogers, was it? Jane Roberts? It kicked off the whole New Age thing in the 70s. Seth's a light being, capitals S-E-T-H, light being. You see him as a Cheshire cat in the sky. So anyhow, I'm walking through a Target and a sign hanging over the bookstore area where the book section is. And you can't see this if you're driving or listening to this only, but a cardboard happy sign of a book with hands smiling started talking to me. It was Buddha. And that was about the only way I could have handled it and not freaked out. So it's just, I'm jittery about this stuff and it takes me a while. So whatever it takes me 6 months to 2 years to do, I help people do like that. So I would argue on the uptake, I get an F. I'm the slowest poke in the West. But I'm a quick teacher. I just touch somebody on the shoulder. I help somebody. They get to see light, catch scents, smells, floral scents, whatever, through the screen. Get any answers, any questions. The hugs can become healing. Colorblind people have seen color. And again, you can do it collectively and you can see jointly, full on. Do a little bit of light, though, first in light energy form. Angels will show up as flecks of light, a heart, a flower, a butterfly. I think today somebody got butterflies. The point of this is no limits is no limits. You knew it as a kid, and then welcome to being an adult. Things got real serious real fast.
Mm-hmm. So when that box, for those of you that are listening, it looked like a box with a face on it with 2 little snowman stick arms out. What did you think when you were talking to Buddha? Did you think, oh my God, I'm losing my ever loving mind? Or how did you know it was Buddha?
He just came in and it was with a little bit of humor and a lot of golden light. And again, it was about the only way I could handle it without running out of the store. Had he shown up in a golden sort of apparition way, the way I guess you might expect, I would have freaked out. Let me back up to Joy, the pink ball of light, the very first angel I help people meet. I'm holding up a pink ball of light named Joy. When she said hello, she was probably the very first angel I met. It was in my first Austin home. She came right through the carpet, like out of a Disney movie, as a column of pink light and shot through my ceiling in my living room and then and said, ta-da, hi, I'm Joy somehow. And then 2 seconds later, she showed up 2 feet away and did it all over again. My jaw must have been on the floor. I was just like, wow. And I felt like I was 6 years old. And yeah, they've got ways to find the gaps in your armor. You can do the best defense. I'm not going to listen. I'm not going to pay attention. I know it all. I'm making great choices. And meanwhile, your heart's like, hey, I need to be going in a different direction. Or I need to pay attention more. This is just about how are you spending your energy daily and where are you putting your focus?
So when Joy showed up as a tunnel of pink light, as a column of pink light coming out of the floor and shooting up out through the top of your home, had you been into woo-woo yet? Was that the first experience with spirit stuff as an adult? Maybe we'll go back and we'll talk about your childhood experiences, but had you been studying this stuff? It just kind of happened, and then what did you think and what did you do?
No, I wasn't religious or non-religious, really hadn't thought about any of that. Just a happy-go-lucky, pretty enthusiastic person, but I had to do a lot of catch-up and a lot of learning. 13 years later, I'm still having difficulty with basic terms like upgrades, ascension. You ask me for a definition of those things, I'll be like, I don't know.
Yeah. I don't
So,
really use those either.
yeah.
All right. So which leads to my next question, because you were a public relations executive working on huge national accounts. And was that a Park Avenue job? Is I know they got Wall Street. What's public relations? I know it's Madison Avenue for the advertising guys. What's the PR guys? Is that
I was
Park
at a
Avenue?
I was at a big law firm in my last in-house place. I had a little PR agency during like 9/11, and I went in-house to law firms. So I was at a Fulbright and Jaworski and later Weil Gotshal, which at the time was like kind of going from NASCAR to Formula One. I think they were top 10 in the world, a billion plus in revenue. And then Lehman Brothers happened. So I was always introducing people to people. So journalists on one side, a venture capitalist, lawyer, politician on the other, and always just doing straight shooting. 1 + 1 = 11. Put people in the Financial Times, Wall Street Journal, New York Times, blah, blah, blah. But with an hour's notice, I got laid off with 72 others. Third stealth layoffs. I was handling the Lehman stuff in a sense, one way for public relations, and then it got me later. So I was the only one quietly doing a Toyota jump for joy because it meant I could finally leave New York City. It was like being Kurt Russell, escape from New York, no eye patch, but I wanted out. And that gave me my excuse to leave to Austin. And that's when everything started to happen. I had to take the concept of spirituality or call it the universe is really big seriously. So it was a little bit like Scrooge Christmas Carol at the beginning, where little stuff started happening, and Scrooge is like, "You're a little piece of cheese in my stomach. I'm not seeing this." And I had to have that. I had somebody come in to clear my home, and they'd never have to come back. They had to come back like 2 or 3 times, and then I
Why did
started
they have to
grabbing.
clear your home? What
Just I had a lot of little experience. Look, my story is not going to help anybody except their own story, and that's the most important thing a person can do is just allow for their own life story to fall into place and get going with living more, loving more, allowing more. But I'll do it this way. I had a professional, what do you call it? Psychics come in who regularly clear homes. I had I hadn't started like filling the house yet. I hadn't really fully moved in, started living, cooking, putting stuff up on the walls, but I had an experience that was meant to teach me that it was bigger than you think it is. And you can't live in a limited fashion. Rinse, repeat, rat race. I'm pointing at my head, which is what I think a lot of us do when we're in a big city working a high powered job, many hours. I think I was making almost $250,000 a year doing the PR. And I got to a home, first home I had lived in forever since like when I was in my 20s. I think I was like 40, 42 at the time, something like that. So I was living in apartments. I was in New York City for like almost 20 years. And the bottom line is I had to go full stop. I had to understand there was bigger stuff at play. And so then I started grabbing psychics in Austin by the lapel. Some I knew, some I didn't know. And I'm basically like, what the heck's going on? It was like almost the equivalent of crash coursing Oprah's Super Soul Sunday. I didn't know about any of these authors. I didn't know about any of this stuff. I didn't know about intuitiveness. It doesn't mean I didn't have either like friends, girlfriend in the past who was intuitive. I didn't doubt them. I got goosebumps, but I had no way to relate. So it was like going to the Russian ballet and you're not into ballet. I didn't know. There was a time where I wanted to get a burger. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I'm like, what is up with this intuitiveness? Half my friends that were friends in Austin turned out to be intuitive that I didn't know about. I'm sitting with a British rocker on South Congress having a beer with him because he's safe. And I forgot that all musicians, artists are kind of plugged in. He stops and he goes, "Hey, I'm getting a message for you." And he gets this look. And then he says, "It's a dove." And I mean, he might as well have said something else. I was ready to run off away from the table. He's like, "I think it just means peace." And so, yeah. And angels have shown up in human form all along the way, including before any of this intuitive stuff happened. It was my first job out of college, Nantucket Police Department. They don't pay you much. So every third night I'm eating out of cans out of necessity. But during the day, once in a while, I could buy a sandwich at Henry's Sandwich Shop. So I'm in uniform, I'm paid. Somehow I'm still in a little bit of a line. And Henry, if anybody knows the sandwich shop from the 80s, 90s, he looked like a skinny Santa Claus. Well, he looks at me, winks, grabs the brownie that I wanted to buy, and he's the owner of the place, sticks it in my brown bag, and I'm munching on a brownie 10 minutes later. Well, that was an angel named Dale, who coached an Olympic athlete that we all know from the 70s, 80s, who won a lot of golds. The point is, he did it twice that summer. It made my day. It's one of my lifetime. I know it's not going to sound like much, but that brownie was the best thing I've ever had almost in life. Sitting under a tree, munching on a brownie, you're working hard. and then you get a brownie, and you couldn't afford the brownie, but it was a real moment. And angels show up in the funniest of ways. It could be the homeless person, it could be the grandmother who says hi to you. And that's what anybody listening or watching right now, if you can trust one thing, forget my story for a second. Just what are you asking the universe daily for? We're all firing out our energy, and where you put your focus is where you put it. How you spend your energy is how you spend it. If I'm one thing, hopefully it's enthusiasm. So, my recommendation to folks is pay attention to how you're firing off your energy, shift it 7%. That's all you need. And put out a few more requests like, hey, I don't even know what he's talking about, but I could use a little more fun, joy, and sparkle in my day. And sock it to me, universe, whatever the universe is,
Hmm.
and see if you
Yeah.
get a little surprised by it.
Well, thanks for sharing that because, as I mentioned, it's always interesting to hear what the catalyst is to get somebody from like just a regular job that we or existence that we're brought up to think is what we need to strive for, and then bring in the spirituality. And I- it seems that there's always a catalyst. We're always being led. I know you've told me that when you were still in New York, you visited Austin and you just felt like you needed to buy a house there. You needed to live there.
Oh, a little voice told me that back
Yeah,
then I only understood it as my little voice. I didn't know it
right.
could be an angel, my mother, or a combo of people. And also there was a night where I was asleep and I heard a chime that sounded like an earthquake. I thought it was an earthquake, but Austin doesn't get earthquakes. I ran out to my living room and it was a giant chime like an ohm. And had you been doing this, or anybody else listening or watching, all of you folks are always much more chill and faster with all this stuff. So I hear a chime, but had I been more relaxed, it would have been angels singing. And that's what
Um,
angels said. And I help people hear angels sing. So there are no limits, but good luck believing it when you say, my situation is, my problem is, you don't understand. We don't let stuff go very fast. The second you want to get with it, let the universe step in and you're off to the races.
okay, so you're on your seventh divorce, or that was a
No,
figure
no,
of speech.
that was a metaphor. Yeah. I'm
Okay,
just telling
sorry.
people, everyone that I know that I ever have heard always has lots of stuff happening to them. It's usually a lot of drama. And the second you're ready to let go and get going, you can realize it's a lot easier to walk your path, a smoother path.
Yeah, well, the drama keeps you in fight or flight, and then we don't have clarity when we're in fight or flight. We are the and actually on brain scans, it shows that the frontal lobes are not operating. They're blank. They're dark. And so we're in fear and we're imagining all this stuff that's not real. And we just stay in the loop of the drama and trauma. So I completely agree with you. Get out of that. You have mentioned that your dad died when you were really young. Your family wasn't spiritual at all? You were raised by your mom? Did you have a stepdad that came into play or?
Uh, yeah, my dad passed in 1970. I was two. My mom dated, I think it was Knight Kiplinger for, I'm going to say 6 years. We were in Washington, D.C. So this is like kind of the mid 70s.
Mhm.
And my mom passed when I was turning 23, and it was her
Mm.
time to go as well. But hundreds of people have met them and seen them. Like typically, if I run into somebody at a Walmart, I don't know. I'm going to mention Walmart and Target a lot today. But the point is, it's a lot of space. People are comfortable there, and hundreds of people have met my mom and dad. They come across in their 20s, and they're not angels, but they're reconciled, unconditional love, and they can still answer any questions. To them, they were just paying the bills yesterday, but here they are. My dad went into Arlington in 1998, 28 years later. Full military honors, was above the fold Washington Post.
Arlington, for those that don't know, is a national military cemetery here in America. It's in the DC area. Yeah, and above the fold and all that, that's like PR speak, so
Front
get
page of
that
the
in.
Washington Post, they honored Arlington Cemetery, did a day in the life of, and we were one of the dozen stories of the ceremonies going on. And we had full military honors, which meant the jets flew over, but the photographer for the Washington Post wasn't fast enough to catch the jets. So they put my dad's case on the cover. His fighter
Wow.
squadron did a flyover, a missing man, which was real closure for all the
Oh,
adults. Yeah.
yeah, how wonderful.
Meanwhile, I didn't know at the time. I mean, in a way, you haven't lost your relatives. They're full love. They're with you the whole time. They can hear you all the time. You just have to trust a little more, be in your heart, and then roll with it somehow. That can take people 40 years, two lifetimes. But if you're listening to Julie and her show regularly, probably only a day or two.
Yeah, can you tell he's in PR? That's his background. Thank you for that, though. So, when you were talking about the flyover with the missing man with your dad at his funeral, I just got whole body chills on that. You know, what an honor. That's a rare thing. That's only for, special circumstances. So how wonderful. And you were little, so you didn't know what was going on, but now when you hear it at this point, do you think your dad's been advising you all along from heaven?
Oh, yeah, and, he saved my life, it turns out. You'd have to, like, trust angels when they tell you the backstory and stuff, and that's something else you can get any part of your life, the backstory, why it really went down the way it did. But I didn't know I had a few near-death experiences, I don't put it that way, I certainly am not putting that on the website, but I had a series of accidents during that summer I'm working for the police department in Nantucket. I hadn't entered the corporate world yet, I'd graduated from Middlebury. I had hurt my shoulder 3 different ways in a 5-day period. Too many pull-ups on a rafter, woke up upside down, wedged between a twin bed and a wall, again, hurt here. And then bodyboarding in the ocean, I go right up to the shore and I got pitched. I got tossed and dunked. And my head hit the bottom. I saw stars. Literally, if I'd reached an arm up, I could have been on dry land. And there's a little dip, about a foot, two, and I hit the seashells there. I saw stars. Wasn't my time to drown, but that's what would have happened had it been my time. And I guess my dad, with Angel's help, somehow on the other side, you can ask him. You're totally intuitive. He'll fill it in. Wasn't my time. Somehow he got to save me. Voila. Yeah.
He's showing me pushing you with your he's got his hand on your butt, and he's pushing you to shore, is what he just showed me. Yeah, he just showed me that. Got you up out of the water. I love that. So back to the first time that you saw the angel Joy come in a column, in a pink column in your living room after you had moved to Austin. How did you begin communicating with angels? Did you just start talking to them in your head? Did you talk to them out loud? Did you go through a class? What did you do?
Not really a class, but all the above before that, out loud, in my head, and so on. But I can share when she showed up in human form. I was still stuck on the concept of ghosts. I mean, trust me, I can get stuck on the dumbest stuff ever. I'm like, oh my God, it's ghosts. And I'm all jittery and everything else. So I no longer want to talk to anybody in town because everyone's turning out with advice, intuitiveness. They're all friendly. I'm at a South by Southwest concert, and the official photographer stops what she's doing, sees my light on me, and says, "You're like a Roman candle right now. I'm like, "Whoa!" We became friends. It was cool. But okay, I don't want to talk to anybody. They're all giving me advice. I'm buying tourmaline. I'm going to crystal shops. They're giving me advice. I'm like, "Whoa!" Everyone knows more than I do. So I go to this burger joint. It reminds me of Nantucket. It's like home on the East Coast. And it's near the Opera Center downtown by the river there and a Second Street. It's not there anymore, Zach's. And it's quiet. There's not even the regular bartender there. There's no one in the place. There's one guy who looks like a Hispanic Nick Nolte at the end of the bar eating out of a mindfulness video with a leather jacket. And he's got a cover story. He owns a farm in South Texas. Now, it's really Joy the angel in human form looking like a Hispanic Nick Nolte. And trust me when I say angels, when they come in human form, they don't like waste their time and do a semi-okay job at their disguises. They do great jobs. I walk in and I sit down in the seat. I haven't been there in 3 months. And it was last time I was there was South by Southwest. In walks, he used to design record albums in the 70s. Today he's a real estate guy, a big real estate guy. He and I had a pleasant chat. He's a regular human. He's safe. But he hasn't been back since I saw him last time. 3 months go by. What are the odds of that alone? And again, he's human. He's safe. There's no anything else. We're chatting and I feel like, there's a little sign from the universe. I'm good with this. I'm cool. And then the mindfulness person down at the end of the bar, just eating slow. Somehow we got the backstory. I find myself like an idiot. I'm the biggest idiot there was. I get out of my stool. I march down to the end. I'm chatting with them and I bring up ghosts. Why would I talk to a total stranger at a bar? All I know is I looked into Joy's eyes. Forget this guy and the whole disguise. I saw a galaxy spinning. She'd come down to literally take me. And again, I'm the slowest poke in the West for absorption, learning, and it takes me 6 months. I'm like, 200 times later, I'm like, that's what they were trying to say. She threw me over the fence that night on ghosts. I never worried about it again, and I got learning on the positive side of the picture. Stop worrying about everything, and I started meeting angels.
So what did she tell you about ghosts?
She didn't. I looked into her eyes. I saw a galaxy spinning. I'll put her photo. I've had a lot of people see that little moment in time that you can get a little 9 millimeter video reel. She'll show you exactly her disguise, my shock on my face, how much of an idiot I was at the time. Hear a lot of laughter from her. Divine intervention to get me to stop worrying about ghosts. There you go.
Yeah.
It's important stuff here. World
Well,
famine.
of course you were thinking about ghosts because you know, like, crazy stuff happening in your house, and that's what we're trained, that it's ghosts and it's scary and it's bad and they're evil, and it's none of the above.
Well, and I do have for 30 seconds only. Back in college, I had an internship at an ad agency. The guy was from LA, had done those Justice League of America drawings for Disney,
Oh,
I guess,
well.
back in the day, but he's advertising. Um, I'm there 1 hour, and I just say to everybody there, have you ever had ghosts here? The whole place stops. And he pulls me aside. He said, we just had an exorcism here a week ago. I need to know if you see anything. And I was like, oh my God. And I had like an interest in ghosts, during my teenage years and stuff like that, but never actually saw anything. Just kind of felt vaguely, but wouldn't give myself any credit for that.
Yeah. And I think most people do, but we discount it, to your point, because we're like, "Nah, that's just my imagination." And actually, it's not, because we're all intuitive. But all spirits are pure love, and you know that now. And so the bottom line is there's no reason to be afraid of any of this stuff. The Ouija board, interestingly enough, I love the fact that the Ouija board is patented. Imagine being the patent examiner in that presentation and saying, "Okay, this is real," and they gave him a patent on it, and then I believe the manufacturer was Milton Bradley, and it was the best-selling game in the history of games for over 100 years, and then it was used in the Exorcist movie, and that's when it became bad and evil, was because it was used in that script, but most houses had one. We had one at my house when I was growing up, good Catholic family, but I never could get it to work, interestingly enough, with all the woo-woo that I do now, but, yeah, it's interesting how all that stuff can be tainted, to put fear in people, and then that's how people are controlled is with fear. Switching topics for a minute, you take many, many, many pictures of angels and other spirits. How do they appear to you? How do they appear in your photos?
Okay. So a lot of people like to say orbs if they're round, but here's a fairy named Ginger. I have one of Tinkerbell. And you can even see the rainbow light around. If anybody's looking, it's like a winged little fairy.
It looks like a fairy. It's got like a rainbow colored hues it does around the edge of its wings.
Yep. And then there's 4 archangels one way in light energy form. And that's Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, and Uriel.
Okay, so those, everybody that's watching, they kind of look like they're like they look like rainbow seashells to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
And here's my book cover, but this is Charlotte. You can see the faces in there, metallic balls of light taken daytime. And the whitish one is Min, the silhouette, the angel I showed at the beginning, the silhouette of the angel. Look, the bottom line is it's great that these are in light energy form, but there's a million ways you can see angels. So when you go to see them full on, standing either in my living room, you look out the back into the backyard. If you're jumpy about this, you need 2 Walmart parking lots distance just to relax. The figures will be tiny. If you're okay about it, you're in a regular American neighborhood, 10 to 20 houses away in someone else's driveway suffices. But if you're really cool about Audrey Hepburn showing up, she's an angel, could be across the street. If you're really relaxed, you've been through 19 near-death experiences, you know everything, you've read all the books, been to all the seminars, you're Miss Intuitive USA last year. Then right in front of you, full-on human, you can feel them hold your hand. You can have them touch your shoulder. You can have your grandmother come in and hold your shoulder. I mean, where do you draw the line? I think it's just a function of how much thinking you're doing. And if you really get relaxed and sparkly and shiny, you're all set. Just have fun. Have them ring your back door and show up as humans and have a cup of tea. Now, good luck with that. That's a lot. So maybe 1 or 2 people have gone that far, but it's just a lot of love. And what are you allowing for? Finding a new comfort zone to allow for your continued growth and expansion, to experience more love and share more love, whatever that means. And I'll give a NASA astronaut quote that's my favorite. Story Musgrave getting out of the comfortable path. That's what exploration is all about.
Yeah, true. I think that's a great way to put it. Speaking of quotes, I've read in your material, you say an angel named Dale, who you referred to earlier, said, quote, "A smile changes any moment. So too does laughter or a few kind words," end quote. What do you think he's talking about with that?
Well, his next sentence on that is my favorite statement of all time. He continues on to say, "Be compassion to all, do it." And I would say it's the same thing as what other angels said, which is you can be happy now in this very moment without a single reason, which is let's flip that pancake. A little less thinking, 7% a day, that's Charlotte says that, is the Olympic gold medal. And flip that pancake. What's less thinking a day mean? It means more heart. What's more heart mean? Breathe more, smile more, all the Tibetan stuff, Thich Nhat Hanh, mindfulness, meditation, but it doesn't have to be that. Hug your dog. You are, all of us, I am about to go back to thinking as soon as we get done chatting after the show, I'll have to go back to thinking. It's the way it is. Welcome to being human. But a little less thinking and watch how your whole universe expands into a Disney movie if you like Disney. So the point of this is it's unlimited. What does unlimited look like? Well, most of us are looking at our shoe tips, or it's like a New Year's Eve resolution or New Year's Day resolution. We're like, I'm going to start exercising. How'd that work out? We're not allowing for very much. We're very serious as especially at the organizational level. It could be spiritual stuff. The whole spiritual community, all these other communities and organizations, even Tibetan Buddhism stuff. Do they really want to meet Chogyam Trungpa or Buddha right here, right now? Nah, it's a little more like Zen and the art of motorcycle maintenance. My experience has been, it's there's a little line in that, which is truth comes knocking on the door and you yell, "Go away, I'm looking for the truth." So if I run up to an angel community and I'm like, especially in the old days, "Hey, do you want to meet angels?" They're like, whoop, slam the door. And they're like, "Hey, go away, we're looking for angels." If I go to the Buddhist community over here and this and that, "Go away, we're looking for Buddha," or whoever. And that doesn't mean there aren't exceptions. I had as many 5,000 yeses as 5,000 nos. So it's not personal. It's just the brain and structure and what we're accustomed to embracing is not much. If it's transcendental meditation, that was big in the 60s and 70s and this and that, but it's all going way beyond that now. You can just feel the flow through two screens. You can see light. You can have a stream of butterflies. I've had a couple guests. I don't know if you can or cannot on this broadcast see the mirror over my fireplace, but there's a vortex of light. Sometimes people see streams of butterflies. I got asked by one person, maybe it was on a show, maybe it was my guest on my show, what does a stream of butterflies mean to you? Well, thank God I had once a real answer. I lit up and I was like, oh my God, nothing's greater than a stream of butterflies. It's pure enthusiasm and love from the universe. And she's like, well, I'm seeing it from the mirror. And then 2 weeks later, someone else saw them. So look, what will you allow for? What is your stream of butterflies? That's all that matters. Don't even listen to me. Who cares what my home experience was or any of my fun stories? But you can ask for a really smooth, easy path, nothing too jarring, and let the universe fully come in. Maybe do it in the morning, maybe do it before bed. You don't have to know what you're asking for. Just be like, hey, love and above. I'll take it. Serve it up nice and hot, but gentle. I don't need too much jarring. None of the stuff he went through. I'll take it a lot easier and a lot faster. Don't be slow like me. Take 2 years when you can do it in 2 hours.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's great advice. Is there a main message or theme that you receive from the angels and the other spirits that you channel?
No limits. No limits. Get living. You can have any answers. That should have been enough a long time ago, 13 years ago, to get mankind savvy with it, jiggy with it, get moving. But even having any answers to any questions isn't enough yet. We have no limits as a species or whatever you want to call it. We can, I don't know, connect to the universe more, flow more. There's healing to be had in the hugs. Forget all the answers in the world. You can get a hug. And it might be just a goosebump the first hug, but you could start to feel light all over you. And that light can kind of become a little more healing. It's between you and the universe. I don't see people's questions. I don't see their answers. And if it's a medical situation, I don't even want to know. I just have you name a fruit name to give it a code name. And then you hear about it. Can I get healing or did it get written into my life story? I got to live with this. Sometimes people signed up for certain stuff. That Michael J. Fox disease. I remember a doctor one time, I think he had that and that wasn't going away. But he did find a way to ask, can I make the shaking stop by 35% or something? Whatever it was, it's all personal to him. My point on this is there's always wiggle room somehow. You're the one who has to be bold enough to show up and do your own listening and your own receiving. That's the whole point here, is be in the heart and experience a little more life.
Yeah, I agree. Why do we incarnate?
That's an eternal question. Here, I'll put up Charlotte. She'll give you a little wise answer, and you're really good at this, Julie. What's Charlotte say? Why do we incarnate?
To have the experience and to create.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, you big chicken. You had Charlotte answer it for you. What's your answer?
My answer would be to do the human thing, experience the contrast. Let's borrow from Esther Hicks. And in that contrast, uh, grow your awareness, your discernment, and learn how, with all the topsy-turviness like a cork in the Atlantic Ocean, and it ain't exactly calm, learn how to still find a way to shine more, connect to your soul, which you can see. Anybody who's gutsy right now, don't do it while you're driving and listening to Julie, but you can see your soul out the window. Maybe put a hand on your heart like you're doing a Pledge of Allegiance or something, but look out and see an aurora borealis. Ask angels to make it nice. And I've only got one bit of ruler structure, which I should have said. Ask angels to get you out of your head, into your heart. Amen, rock and roll, thank you, Om Sai Ram if you're from India. That's setting your intent. Then look out into the sky and see if you can catch light. You can see silver and gold, 15 colors at once, but that's your higher self, your soul. And if I can do one last thing, if you're playing golf and you say, let's smack it, you're having the best time. You're in a tournament, you're a golfer. You're winning the tournament. You're one hole away from winning. And you're like, let's crank this baby. I feel a hole in one coming. And some little voice inside says, smack it. It's really your aunt who passed away 20 years ago, your favorite figure from childhood. She loves you. She loves your golf. You would freak out if you heard your aunt's voice. Freak out. You'd probably drop the club and flee, hop into a car and go see a psychiatrist. But what do you think one-third of your intuition's been your whole life? Angels, your mother, your aunt, your grandfather, Plato, I don't know, Einstein. It could be anybody. But the point is, you're listening all the time. You give yourself no credit for your abilities. And that applies to flipping a light switch on the wall, putting your jeans on, or playing tennis in a smooth fashion. There's nothing to learn here. There's nothing to lose or gain. You have it all. You have to move past seeing the negative, the societal rat race thinking thing. You are unlimited like a Jedi out of some famous Star Wars movie. You really do have that ability. That's what I try to do is, again, connect you to the universe. You asked about it before, but to build up your confidence so you get little baby steps, see light, smell stuff that you know is impossible, see an angel eventually. And at that point, it's fight or flight sort of thing. Ego might step in and say, whoa, Nelly, no more. I'm going to shut you tight like an oyster. You're going to go through a lot of pain and trouble. And yeah, that happens. And others are completely brave, yelling miracles. Let's do it again. Yay. No, spin the wheel. It's a twister wheel, all of it.
Okay. Of everybody that's in my life, everybody that's in my world, you are such an original. You are brilliant. You remind me of Robin Williams because you are bebopping around. And sometimes I have to rein you in and go, okay, wait a minute. Let's dissect that. You are so on this channeling angels and spirits and stuff. So I love talking with you because I feel like I'm running a race. I'm trying to go, okay, wait a minute. You got to slow down. You got to help me say that again. Tell me what you're doing. So everybody that's listening, I encourage you to listen to this all the way through at least once, and you may need to go back and listen to it again because there are so many golden nuggets here, and it's so worth listening to. So thank you for the work that you're doing. How can people learn more about you and your work?
My full name, michaelandreford.com, but it's the same Michael André Ford with an @ symbol for the YouTube channel. And I have tons of guests that are as amazing as you, and you're incredible every time you come on. I'll keep having you on in perpetuity. But people can actually take steps with the guests. A lot of action happens off camera. It's always towards the end of the show. Yeah, we got some people who don't take steps, but I think it's like 95%, not that we're counting, who do take steps. But the panels, the mind, body, spirit panels, they're doing joint seeing, joint feeling. Where you draw the line, don't just toss the pen.
Right, right. Okay. So what's your website so everybody knows where to find you?
Michael André, like the champagne, Michael like the angel, Ford like the truck or car.com. And then if it's amazon.com/author/angels, that's my author profile. And you can get the Little Listening to Angels book, $7.99. Angels finally this year let me raise the price from $4.99 since 2014. 7 photos of angels there. It's a 15-minute read. And it shows you how to do everything. You never need me again.
Yeah, yeah. All righty, everybody. Sending you lots of love from Sweet Home, Alabama. Mwah! And from Austin, Texas, where Michael is. We'll see you next time. To enhance your spiritual journey, click on one of the videos below and remember to subscribe, leave a comment, and share with your family and friends.